The story starts in Mauritania in November 2001, just 2 months after the 9/11 terrorist attack. Mohamedou Ould Salahi has just come from Germany to visit his relatives. People are very happy to see him and they compliment him. One man even asks if he can help his nephew, who is good at science, get a visa. The celebration is going on. Then, people from America show up looking for Mohamedou, saying they need to see him. They are searching for Mohamedou's cousin, who was supposedly in Bin Laden's group. Mohamedou tells them he knows nothing. He then goes to change his clothes and secretly deletes all his contacts. His mother is very worried that he won't be back. We jump to Albuquerque, New Mexico, in 2005. A lawyer named Nancy Hollander goes to court and asks Terry Duncan, a younger lawyer, for a case file. On the street, Nancy meets a friend. He tells her that a lawyer from Mauritania approached her in Paris. This lawyer represents a local judge, and he told her the story of Mohamedou, who was taken away that night and just never came back, leaving his family wondering for 3 years. Now, word is out that he is supposedly one of the organizers of the 9/11 attack. The man asks Nancy to call and learn what she can about the prisoner, but she isn't given any information. Nancy tells her colleagues she wants to represent Mohamedou in court, arguing that it's illegal to lock someone up without a trial or investigation. Terry agrees to go to Cuba with Nancy as her assistant. Elsewhere, Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Couch is talking with 2 good friends about the 9/11 terrorists, because the tide is turning against them. One of Stuart's friends was on a plane that crashed into one of the towers. Stuart is given Mohamedou Salahi's case. He is told that Salahi recruited the man who flew the plane into the South Tower, killing his friend. They need Stuart to bring charges. Meanwhile, Nancy and Terry have arrived at Guantanamo, where the rules are extremely strict. They are escorted to Mohamedou. Any recordings made there are considered secret. Mohamedou ends up being a very nice man who speaks English, which surprises both Nancy and Terry. They also surprise Mohamedou. He's just been interrogated for 18 hours straight, year after year, without even knowing his charges, and now lawyers are here. Why would I? Nancy asks him to sign a document that lets them represent Salahi in court. He eventually agrees and asks to call his mother. Nancy tells him not to rush, as the number needs to be checked first. At the same time, Stuart Couch is being shown all the info on Mohamedou Salahi. Couch wants him sentenced to death. The military skillfully used Stuart's personal loss, turning him into an instrument of revenge. Nancy tells Terry they must go to Virginia because Mohamedou has written letters. She also makes it clear to Terry that she hasn't lost her critical thinking. Mohamedou might be guilty, but their job is to free him from being held in prison illegally. In Virginia, they're taken to a secure room in the privacy department. Inside are 2 envelopes holding Mohamedou's letters. If the government won't give them the case details, they'll find out this way. They begin to read the papers. Salahi recalls August 5, 2002. He is shaved, put in handcuffs, injected with something, and has his picture taken. The next day, he is brought in for questioning. The people questioning him act kindly, asking about his past and his training with Al-Qaeda. Stuart, in the meantime, meets his deceased friend's wife at church. He promises her he will get vengeance, certain that he is serving justice. But is he really? While Mohamedou is praying, someone begins speaking to him from the other side of the bars. He can't see who it is, as a thick green canvas blocks the view. The man says he's from Marseilles, and Salahi is from Mauritania, so they give each other the nicknames Marcel and Moorish. The man from Marseilles' prisoner number is 241. That's all he knows about him. The government will not provide any information about 241, acting like he doesn't even exist. Nancy visits the man who first gave her the case, asking him to find out who this prisoner is. Stuart is informed that Nancy Hollander is now handling the case. He is also told about many contradictions in the Salahi case protocols. They don't have dates, but they all have the signature of one person, someone Stuart knows. The lieutenant colonel goes to this acquaintance to learn the case details. Stuart requests access to the data on this case, but he is given nothing. In the confidential information department, key details in Salahi's letters are blacked out with a marker. During Mohamedou's interrogations, He learns that an Al-Qaeda member informed on him. They likely forced names out of that person who just had to blame someone. The interrogators lay their cards on the table. They were told he recruited for Al-Qaeda. If he doesn't prove his innocence, he will face terrible consequences. Mohamedou speaks with prisoner 241 about what's happening. He also remembers how he won a scholarship for studying in Germany when he was in school. In 2005, the government finally approves access to classified information. Nancy gets many boxes filled with files, but nearly all of them are blacked out, making it impossible to learn anything. Stuart Koch, however, got the same files but without the black marker. Technically, none of it is evidence, but Stuart is being pressured and needs to move fast. Searching for new ways to win, he visits his old comrade again, asking for access to classified data. The man refuses again. He says Stuart needs to fly to Guantanamo personally and ask the general for access. Nancy and Terry fly back to see Mohamedou and share everything his mother told them. During the meeting, Terry accidentally mentions the privacy department, the one that reads his letters to decide if they are secret. This makes Mohamedou incredibly angry, as he thought the letters were private between him and Nancy. But Nancy convinces him to calm down and to sue the government. At Guantanamo, Nancy runs into Stuart. He invites her for a beer, which leads to a tense conversation. Stuart is arrogant about his victory and even tries to make Nancy feel ashamed for defending Salahi, calling him a monster. She replies that he's too sure he'll win and asks, what if they are just lying to him? On the plane ride, Nancy says they must change their defense strategy and find someone besides just Mohamedou. Stuart goes to inspect the conditions for the prisoners and is shocked by what he sees. The temperature inside the cells is only 11 degrees. He asks the general why the conditions are like this, but he doesn't get a straight answer. In the meantime, Mohamedou is practicing his English, trying to connect with a guard on a human level, but it's useless. Marcel is sad after getting a letter from his wife. It's only a letter, and he can't actually see her. Mohamedou writes about meeting his first love back in Germany. He writes that when he saw world events on TV, he decided to go defend his country. He was fighting on the same side as America. The entire problem, however, is that he trained with Al-Qaeda from 1990 to 1992. The investigators ask him why. If that's true, he deleted all the contacts from his phone when he was arrested. Mohamedou explains he just didn't want his friends to have problems. The investigators don't believe him. This starts to upset Mohamedou, but he keeps his spirits up. He reminds Marcel that they will definitely get out of there and go home. Nancy does an interview where she's asked why she's defending a terrorist. Nancy replies that she is fighting for justice. One of the people on Stuart's team requested information, and he was fired for it. Nancy learns that they are unable to find Marcel, the man from Marseille that Mohamedou was talking to. Salahi asks the guard about his friend from Marseille. He finds out that Marcel has been dead for a month. The guard tells him the man strangled himself. Later, during a walk, Mohamedou sees the ocean through a gap in the canvas. It reminds him of the sea near Marseille that Marcel talked about. This news deeply affects him, and he prays for everyone, living and dead. Nancy and Terry are harassed by people carrying American flags. They yell at the lawyers outside the courthouse, telling them to remember the horrors of 9/11. The judge sides with Nancy, and they get unclassified information on Salahi's case. Terry is horrified by what she reads. In the papers, Mohamedou confesses to every accusation. Terry feels she sacrificed a lot for a case that was just a failure, but Nancy refuses to listen to her complaints. She says if Terry wants to quit, she should quit. Nancy will keep working on the case. Terry says you can't win a case you don't believe in, and she leaves crying. Mohamedou, at the same time, remembers when his first interrogators handed his case to the military. They warned him the military would not be gentle. The soldiers came into his room and forced a bag over his head. Nancy visits Salahi, telling him Terry quit the case and bringing up his confession. Mohamedou insists that he was forced to confess. Nancy then explains that this is exactly why he must write the letters. Otherwise, how can she learn the truth? This makes Mohamedou angry, as he has lost all hope of ever getting out. Nancy finally tells him that if he won't write the letters, she will find him a different lawyer. Stuart meets his friend Neil and accuses him and others of hiding information, but Neil doesn't give him a straight answer. Mohamedou remembers that it was Neil who tortured him, forcing him to confess to murder. He writes all of this in a letter. Mohamedou was then moved to a different cell. This one had no Quran and no normal heat. Nancy gets a new letter from Mohamedou. Neil visits Stuart's office late at night. He tells him what was really happening back then and shows him secret memos. That same night, both Stuart and Nancy learn the truth about Guantanamo. He was tortured with sleep deprivation, loud music, and forced water infusions to cause panic. He suffered beatings, sexual humiliation, and they made fun of his infertility. The threat that they would arrest his mother finally forced Mohamedou to confess after all this abuse. He was going insane in the very cell where they tortured him. Stuart is in disbelief about what happened. Nancy cannot stop crying as she reads the letters. They tortured him for months, beating him constantly and doing anything they wanted to him. When he was unable to think or even speak, they told him they had arrested his mother and that she would be jailed with him. That is when Mohamedou decided to confess to crimes he didn't commit. They also forced him to confess to other things, turning him into a scapegoat. Stuart, understanding how awful the situation is, goes to church. He then explains himself to the person who gave him the case, stating he is refusing to pursue the charges. Stuart is labeled a traitor. Nancy visits Mohamedou to support him and asks for permission to publish all his letters as a book. Stuart packed his belongings and quit his job. Everyone is calling him a traitor, and newspapers are writing about him. He goes to see Nancy. After discussing the matter, they decide to work together. Stuart tells her to check box number 32, which had the polygraph, lie detector, results. They were positive twice. Nancy copies them for Terry, who has managed to find prisoner 241 and his family. Nancy brings Terry back onto the case. In 2009, a hearing starts. Salahi joins from prison on a video call. He gives a moving speech about racism and his 8 difficult years in prison. In 2010, he got a letter at Guantanamo telling him he had won his case and was happily going home. A voiceover then explains that even though Salahi won, he remained in prison for 7 more years. He never got to see his mother again. She passed away in 2013. Nancy and Terry kept fighting for him until he was released. After a long legal battle, Salahi published his book in 2015, and it became a bestseller. He was finally released on October 17, 2016. He spent 14 years and 2 months in prison for no reason and was never charged. He went back to Mauritania and married a lawyer named Kitty. Their son Ahmed was born, but they can't visit his mother in America often because of visa problems. Nancy Hollander is still fighting against injustice in the world. One of her clients is still imprisoned in Guantanamo. Stuart Couch now works for the Department of Justice as an immigration judge. Terry Duncan keeps working as a lawyer, handling cases that involve the death penalty. None of the government services ever apologized for what happened to the prisoners at Guantanamo. Out of 779 prisoners, only 5 were ever brought to justice. An appeal verdict later decided to release 3 of those prisoners. Here's the movie end. Thanks for watching it.
We're gonna break you,
What are you doing down there, buddy?